Some people struggle to make friends, not because they're rude, not because they're strange, and not because people dislike them. In fact, many people actually enjoy talking to them. Yet, somehow, friendships never seem to last. Conversations happen, numbers get exchanged, plans are mentioned, and then the connection slowly fades. Which makes this case interesting, because when the same pattern keeps repeating, psychology usually suspects something hidden beneath the surface. So today, we're opening a new investigation, and there's something unusual about the suspect in this case. They don't realize they're part of the pattern. In fact, the suspect might be watching this video right now. Possibly you. Let's examine the first piece of evidence. You meet someone new. The conversation seems normal. You smile, you listen, you respond politely, but inside your mind, something else is happening. While the other person is simply talking, your brain begins analyzing. Did that sound awkward? Did I talk too much? Did they react weirdly to that joke? Your mind splits into two roles. One part is having the conversation. The other part is quietly monitoring everything you say, like an internal security camera. And here's the strange part of this case. Most people don't do this nearly as much as you think. For them, conversation flows automatically. But for others, every interaction becomes a small mental performance, and that takes energy, which is why something interesting happens afterward. While others leave social situations feeling energized, you often leave feeling drained. But that's only the first clue, because the second piece of evidence appears later. You think about texting someone, maybe inviting them somewhere, maybe continuing the connection. But a small thought appears in your mind. What if they're busy? What if they only said yes to be polite? What if I'm bothering them? So instead of sending the message, you wait. And sometimes that small hesitation quietly turns into silence. From the outside, people often misunderstand this behavior. They say things like, they're antisocial, they're distant, they just prefer being alone. But psychologists suggest something very different. Many people who struggle with friendships are actually highly aware of social signals. In simple terms, their brain notices more. Tone changes, facial expressions, awkward pauses. It's like hearing every instrument in a song separately instead of just enjoying the music. And that level of awareness can make social interaction feel intense. But halfway through this investigation, the case becomes more complicated, because there may be two different reasons behind this pattern. The first is personality. Some people naturally process social situations more deeply. Their brain constantly scans the environment, reading people, predicting reactions, trying to avoid mistakes. But the second possibility is something else: protection. At some point in life, the mind may have learned a quiet lesson. Getting close to people can sometimes lead to rejection, or embarrassment, or disappointment. So the brain creates a strategy. Move carefully. Don't risk too much. Stay slightly guarded. And this strategy shows up in small, everyday moments. You think of sharing a personal story, but decide to keep it to yourself. You want to message someone, but assume they're probably busy. Someone interesting enters your life, but you never quite show your real personality. None of these moments seem important, but over time, they quietly create distance. And here's the psychological twist in this case. Research suggests that people who are most sensitive to rejection often care the most about relationships. which means something ironic happens. The people who value friendships the most sometimes approach them the most carefully. So now the investigation turns to you, suspect. Have you ever wondered if the reason friendships don't grow isn't because people dislike you, but because they never get to see the unguarded version of you? Because the truth in this case is surprisingly simple. Struggling with friendships is rarely about being bad with people. More often, it's the result of a thoughtful mind trying to avoid social mistakes, a mind that observes deeply, a mind that protects itself. And sometimes protection can look exactly like distance. So here's the final question for this investigation. Do people in your life truly know the real you, or only the careful version? The case remains open. And if you want to keep uncovering the hidden patterns behind human behavior, subscribe to MindSheriff, because here, every behavior is a clue.